psychoanalysis. But also there was another, I think, more important theoretical point where he objected. Cinema, of course, film is about representation. It is about figuration. It is about the visible, what you can see. The unconscious, by definition, is what you cannot see, what cannot be represented, what is repressed and what is hidden. How, therefore, can you represent psychoanalysis? How can you represent desire, the psychoanalytic act, when it is, by definition, that which is impossible to represent? So I think Freud had a very serious point. Now, this is not stopped 100 years of collaboration between the cinema and psychoanalysis and an attempt to film psychoanalysis. For example, they wanted in the film Secrets of the Soul to represent repression. How would you represent the psychoanalytic notion of repression? Primary repression, secondary repression. Now, Abrahams and Sachs suggested that they represent this by showing someone being ejected from a lecture theatre. Okay? Someone being rowdy, making a noise during a lecture, being escorted out of the lecture theatre, and then brought back in by someone under calm and under control later on. Freud rejected this. It would be unintentionally comic, it would look silly, it wouldn't represent repression properly. Does anyone know where the example comes from? This is, of course, Freud's own example from the new introductory lectures, which he used when he was giving lectures in the States, in the United States, to try and illustrate the idea of repression. So on the one hand, it's okay Freud doing it, but if you put it in a film, it will look silly. All right? I'll come back to this later. The interests of psychoanalysis and cinema, then, have tended to be rather one-sided. That of cinema in psychoanalysis. This first encounter, Secrets of the Soul, is what we might call psychoanalysis and cinema's primal scene. Stages many of the problems that will be repeated throughout the history we will come to trace here today. Represent the unrepresentable. What would be a psychoanalytic film? What would be a properly psychoanalytic film? But also, what could psychoanalysis learn from cinema rather than the other way around? Okay, these are all questions that will recur. Now, the question of what might be a genuinely psychoanalytic film found its most dramatic expression just a couple of years after, perhaps, Secrets of a Soul. That was in 1929 with Louis Buñuel and Salvador Dali's surrealist classic, Un Chien Andalou. Now the surrealist response to cinema was as passionate and enthusiastic as was their response to psychoanalysis itself. Okay, we're just going to watch the beginning of Un Chien Andalou. That's fine. I want to come back to that opening image, one of the most famous opening images in cinema history, shortly. The Surrealists' response to cinema was as passionate and enthusiastic as was their response to psychoanalysis itself. Stories abound about how André Breton and his friends would go from cinema to cinema, not caring what film was playing, whether it had started or not, leaving in the middle and moving on to the next. They were entranced by film's ability to transform everyday objects into poetic artifacts, and as they put it, to derealize reality. As Walter Benjamin wrote in the work of art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, the camera introduces us to an unconscious optics, just as fully as psychoanalysis does to unconscious motivation. Film can dwell on aspects of daily life through close-up, editing, and camera movement that would otherwise pass us by as insignificant and mundane. It can examine the hidden details of everyday objects and explore spaces of daily activity in ways hitherto unseen and unnoticed. The poet Aragon put it this way: cinema confers a dignity and poetic value on things of everyday life, to turn them into what Freud called thing presentations, that is, presentations in the unconscious. Freud distinguished between word presentations, which are in consciousness, and the thing presentations, or images, which are in the unconscious. So what cinema does is confers a dignity on everyday objects to turn them into thing presentations, indices of the unconscious. Now, above all, the Surrealists saw film language as analogous to dreams. Now, there's a lot of stories around Ancien Andalou, and if you read the back of this DVD collection, for example, it will tell you that the film scenario here for this film is actually a collaboration between Buñuel and Dali, who sort of spliced together their different dreams, okay, to make the film.